Have you ever been on the verge of something good? A new opportunity, a fresh start, something that could genuinely change your life. And somehow, and I mean somehow, without actually meaning it, you wrecked it. You procrastinated, you pulled back, you started an argument that didn't need to happen. And you made a decision that didn't make sense on paper. And afterwards, you looked at what you have done. And you thought, why did I do that? And why do I keep doing that every time? My friend, this is self-sabotage. And in this video, I am going to explain why it happens. And it is not what most people think it is. Let's kickstart by looking at what self-sabotage actually is. You see, most people think that self-sabotage is a discipline problem or a confidence problem or even a laziness problem, and it is not. You see, but here is the truth. Self-sabotage is almost always an identity problem. Hey, I'm going to explain. Let me explain what I mean by that. We all carry a picture in our minds of who we are, not who we want to be, but who we believe we actually are. You see, that picture was formed over years of experience, years of messages from people around us, and the conclusions we drew, from what happened to us. And here is the thing about that picture. You see, your brain will do almost anything to keep your life inconsistent with that picture that you have. So, when something good starts to happen, say for example, when success gets close, when relationship deepens, you see, and when life starts to look better than that picture, you see, your brain, starts to feel uncomfortable because it doesn't match. What is going on doesn't match, who you believe yourself to be. And so, without even realizing it, you act in ways that will bring life back in line to what your internal picture, shows. You sabotage that good thing that is trying to happen. Not because you want it to fail, not because you don't want a good thing, but because you feel less safe than the familiar. You are moving outside the comfort zone. You see, this is the real reason behind most self-sabotage. Not weakness, not laziness, but misalignment between who you are becoming and who you currently believe yourself to be. And this takes place in three forms. Let's look at the three forms of self-sabotage. You see, self-sabotage shows up in three main ways, and I'm going to go through them. You see, I want you to see if you recognize yourself in any of these. The first form of self-sabotage is procrastination. Not the ordinary one, the kind where you don't want, to start something, you don't feel like starting something. No, we are talking about the kind where the task matters enormously to you. It matters much. It is very important to you. Is it where you genuinely want to do it? You want to do it, you want to accomplish it, and yet you find every possible reason to delay. That is almost always self-protection. You try to protect yourself. You see, because if you never, you tell yourself, if you never fully try, you can never fully fail. So, and failing would confirm the negative picture. So you already have of yourself. So what you do is that you procrastinate. You don't do it because, when you are trying to protect yourself. Let's look at the second form of second form of sabotage. I call it self-destruction right before the breakthrough. You see, this one is a fascinating and painful one. Everything is going well. The relationship is deepening, the project is almost done, the promotion is within reach. And then you do something to blow it. You pick up a fight, you miss the deadline, or you even disappear. You see, this is your identity saying, I don't believe I deserve this. Let me get back to the familiar ground. Okay, let's look at the third form. The third form is negative self talk that eventually becomes self fulfilling prophecy. You see, you tell yourself you are not smart enough, you tell yourself that you are not ready enough, you tell yourself that you are not good enough, and then you act in ways that actually prove yourself right. You see, you tell yourself a story, where and you begin to act in the way that fulfills that story. See, the story you tell about yourself becomes the life you live. Okay, so I want to ask, do any of these sound familiar? Be honest with yourself. Because the first way to stop, first step to start breaking this pattern is by seeing it clearly. Okay, my friend, I want to make an appeal here. If this is the kind of content that you have been looking for, honest content, deep, no shortcuts content, please hit the subscribe button and press that like button, to like this video. You see, when you do that, you help the Flourish Blueprint to grow and to reach a wider audience. You see, I post every week, and every video builds on the one before it. We keep building it. This is not an entertainment platform. This is a teaching platform, so we build incrementally. So you watch out, you don't want to miss what is coming. So let's crack on. Let's look at the identity roots because we said it's almost an identity problem. So here is what is the question that you should ask yourself, and this question will will help you to resolve the issue. And the question is this: what picture am I carrying of myself? And I'm asking you, what picture are you carrying of yourself? Not the picture you show other people. No, not at all. Not the version you put out on the social media, or or present at work. You smile at every, you show a different picture, but you are carrying a different picture in your head. You see, I'm talking about that private, honest picture, the one that runs on the background, of every decision you make. That's the decision I'm talking about. Because that picture built from years of messages, that picture built from years of experiences and conclusions is either aligned with the person you are becoming or is working against the person you are becoming. Okay, so here are some of the most common negative identity beliefs that drive self-sabotage. As I go through them, I want you to notice if any of them applies to you or speaks to you. Number one, you just say, I don't deserve good fame. This one often it comes from a background, where love or approval felt conditional. Where good things never lasted. Excuse me. Where you learned early in life that you shouldn't expect too much. Okay. And when you expect too much, it leads to disappointment. Okay. So the second one is, I am not the kind of person who succeeds. This belief is often handed to us by authority figures, like a parent, like a teacher, someone whose opinion carried weight, and we absorbed it early, and that started to feel like a fact rather than an opinion. Okay, the third one is, if I succeed, I will lose people I love. This one, it sounds funny, but it's not funny. This is one of the most sneaky identity beliefs. It often comes from, say, communities or from families where standing out feels like betrayal. Where, when you stand out, you want to do your own thing, so that looks like a betrayal. Where success means separation. So you unconsciously, you stay small so that you stay connected. You stay small so that you stay connected. So which one of those the things are where I put out there resonated with you? Because the identity belief underneath your self-sabotage is the thing that you need to change. Is the thing that you need to work on. Not working on your habits. Some people rush to work on their habits. They go to work on their discipline or their routine. No. The first thing you have to do is to work on your, identity beliefs. Okay, let's look at how to break this pattern. I think this is very, very important. You see, there are 4 practical steps that you can use to start breaking this self sabotage cycle. Step number 1: name the pattern without judgment. I say it again: name the pattern without judgment. The next time you catch yourself sabotaging something, get curious instead of critical. Don't say, I'm so stupid, I did it again. I hear people all the time, they say, oh, I'm so stupid. No, instead of that, why don't you say, oh, that's interesting, why did I do that? You see, judgment shuts down learning and curiosity opens it up. Why did I do that? So step number 2, identify the identity belief underneath the behavior. Ask yourself, what would I have to believe about myself for this? You see, for this behavior, what would I have to believe about myself? Does it actually make sense? You see, the answer will often surprise you, my friend. And naming the belief is the first step to questioning it. Step number 3. Let's talk about the challenge, where belief with evidence. Challenge that belief. That's your belief. Challenge it with evidence. You see, once you have learned, once you have named the belief, I don't, say for example, I don't deserve good things, okay? Or I'm not the kind of person that succeeds. What you do next is to start collecting evidence against it. So every time you have done something right, every time you have been trusted, every time you have, when you have worked out something, good, your brain is currently running on one-sided story. So start telling the other side of the story that I can succeed. I am good enough. So start collecting evidence against that belief, that self-sabotage belief. Okay, step number 4, build a new identity through deliberate actions. This is the most important step, and don't miss it. And it is the most overlooked by many people. You see, you cannot think your way out of self-sabotage. Can I say that again? You cannot think your way out of self-sabotage. You have to act your way out of it. So every time you choose to follow through instead of backing down, every time you keep, the commitment to yourself instead of breaking it, what you have just done is that you have added evidence to a new picture of who you are. So over time, that new picture replaces the old one. I don't know if that is making sense. You see, identity is not just something that you discover. It is something that you build. So you have to keep building the new evidence to replace it, where remove the old evidence and use the new evidence to replace the old one. Okay, so it's something that you build, and you build it with one honest, courageous decision at a time. Now, where does the Flourish Framework come in? Okay, let's talk about the Flourish Framework connection. You see, in the Flourish Framework, sabotage is a foundation problem. And it can only be solved at the foundation level. Okay, you see, that foundation pillar is all about identity. That is what you believe yourself to be at the deepest level. You see, when foundation is unclear, when foundation is cracked, when foundation is built on false belief, everything about it is unstable. or everything above it is unstable. Your decisions above that false foundation will be unstable. Your relationships will be unstable. You see, your ability to follow through on the things that matter most. You see, this is why identity work is not, it's not an optional thing that you know, a nice, it's not a nice extra thing you do after you have sorted out your habit, after you have sorted out your schedule or your goals. No, no, no. It's the first thing you have to do. You know, identity is the thing that makes every other piece of personal development actually stick. You see, you can have the best strategy in the world, but if your identity says that you are not the kind of person who succeeds, for example, your strategy will lose every time. It's not about strategy, it is about fixing the foundation. So you have to fix the foundation, build the identity that matches the life that you are trying to build. And the self-sabotage slowly, surely will lose its grips when you start building the right foundation. So because you cannot consistently act against the person you are you genuinely believe yourself to be. So build the right belief and the right behavior will follow. Okay, my friend, here is what I want you to take away from this video. You are not broken. You are not weak. You are not fundamentally flawed. You are someone whose internal picture of themselves hasn't caught up with who they are actually becoming. That's good news. And that is fixable. And you can fix it with honesty, with patience, with the willingness to do the identity work that most people, avoid. You see, self-sabotage is not your destiny. It is a pattern. And patterns can be changed. One deliberate, identity-aligned decision at a time. So if this video is speaking something real in your life, please help the Flourish Framework, Flourish Blueprint to grow and also to reach wider audience. So I would like you to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell, smash that like button, and comment, share your thoughts, and let's have a conversation, and share this video to your friends. So don't miss the next video in this series where I will lay out complete Flourish framework, and show you how the 8 pillars of this framework work together to build a life from the inside out. So I want you to watch other videos on in this series. The link is right there on the screen. One of them is the real reason you struggle to develop unshakable resilience. I will see you in the next one.